Welcome into another edition of the Prep Redzone Coaches Corner. I'm Michael Knight, the director of Prep Redzone Oklahoma, and I'm joined by another first-year head coach. This time, we were in the Oklahoma City area the last couple of weeks, but now we're going to Eastern Oklahoma with Sallisaw and their new head coach, Brandon Tyler. No stranger to the area. Long career at Vian. Most recently was with Gore. Led them all the way to the state championship game last year, and now he's the newest head coach at Sallisaw. Coach, thanks for sitting down with me today. And let's just start with that career. You're obviously very familiar with this area of the state, and it's been home for you for basically forever.
Yes, sir. I've been in this area, obviously graduating from Gore back in 91, been in Sequoia County pretty much my whole life. And this is home, like you said, this area here, very fortunate and blessed to be hired here at Sallisaw. And, it's looking forward to the challenge that we're going to have. But, going back and looking, my grandfather was a superintendent here at one time. My mom graduated from here. My uncle was an all-state football player here. So my family's got a little bit of history here as well. So it's kind of been one of those jobs that's always been intriguing to me. Just to get back here and be able to coach here in Sallisaw is quite an honor.
I got to think that definitely had a hand in your decision because you're leaving a place that was home. It was your alma mater in Gore. I mentioned the success that you had at Vian. So to leave a place like Gore, it had to be a special opportunity. And, it sounds like it was a good opportunity and another place that reminds you of home.
Yes, it is. It's a great opportunity. Great football history and tradition here. You go back and look at, Matt Wells playing here, coaching at OU now. Craig Benson was a great quarterback here at one time, was a very successful college coach and high school coach here at one time. Steve Davis, obviously, from played at OU, and my uncle actually played on that team with him here. So, a lot of history, a lot of tradition here at Sallisaw, and, looking forward to getting this thing going.
Now, you're no stranger to rebuilding jobs, and Sallisaw has been one of those programs where, the last couple guests we've had, in fact, UConn last week, Edmond North the week before, where, they have some tools, and they've had recent success as well, and so they're trying to get it back to that. You're no stranger to that with your last job at Gore, where, that was a program that was struggling before you took over, and, a few years later, you're playing for a state championship. How can you take some of what you learned with the process at Gore and building that thing back up as you take on a new challenge at Sallisaw?
It's just the same implement. The kids are the same here, as they were there, just a lot more of them. Just got to change the culture, just their mentality of getting back to playing physical football, and just getting back and just going to work every day and practicing hard. It's where it starts. And like you said, we started spring ball, and they're bouncing around, got a lot of excitement right now, and going to team camp next week. So we're going to get to see where we're at, at Shakota. So the kids are really bought in. I got to get here over in March. And so I've been here since the first week of spring break. And when we got back from spring break, so getting around the kids, just kind of get them that work ethic, in the weight room, and then, carrying over to the practice field. And again, just changing that mentality. They kind of, like you said, been beat down for a while now. 1-19 the last 2 years. So just trying to overcome the mental aspect of it right now. The physical aspect, I think is going to be there. Just trying to get that mindset changed into the positive role.
You mentioned how long you've been at this new job, since mid-March. What were some of your first observations about? And obviously, you can't do a whole lot until, the last couple of weeks of May where you can put the pads on and get out on the football field. But what were some of your first observations about some of the kids that you were going to have in this program moving forward?
These very hardworking kids, that, like I said, they bought into the weight room from day one. And, just the little things, being disciplined, showing up on time, getting there, and, doing the right things in the morning workouts and things like that. And like I said, the kids have bought in to what we want to do. And, I think it really helps to know that, coach in this area that's had a little bit of success, and they've seen that and they know that. So I think they kind of believe in what we're telling them. And I think that goes a long way with, where we want to go and what direction we want to go.
And now with the pads coming on this week, you mentioned the team camp next week in Shakota. What have been some of your opening observations on the talent that you have, on this team? You talk about having to change the culture and some of the struggles that this team has had over the last couple of years. But you're no stranger to changing that culture in a quick way. What are some of the observations as far as some of the guys and what they're doing on the field so far this week?
They're doing a great job. Yeah, just getting out there and getting in the pads, it's just a lot different than what they've been doing in the past. They've been more of a spread air raid type team. From me and you've been together for a long time and talked a lot, how we want to run the football and set the standard running the football. So, just trying to break through and get that mentality of getting back down in the 3-point stance and not playing at a 2-point. And, I just want to be able to get out the football, and the linemen have really taken a hold of that. And, I think our offensive scheme is pretty simple. So they're picking it up pretty good, and I like the direction we're going. Defensively, they're flying to the football. We're going to go to a 4-2-5, where they've been an odd front 3-4 the last few years. So, I think that's really going to benefit the personnel that we got right now.
When you look at Class 4A overall over the last few years, it's been really balanced, but at the same time, there have been the consistent powers in that class with Poto and Wagner in your backyard. And then, across the state, Tuttle has been outstanding. And I know that Clinton, another perennial power. So this is a class that has been dominated by those perennial powers year in and year out. When you talk to your kids and what to expect, I'm sure you're not even talking about playoffs, championships, all that stuff yet. You're just trying to build your culture the way you want it. But how do you view Class 4A as a whole, as a new challenge for you as well?
Oh, it's definitely tough from top to bottom. It's going to be a lot different than the Class A and 2A that we've been in. Of course, at Vian, it was, Vian, Davis, Millwood, Hennessy, year in and year out there. Adair, they were always good football teams and still are today, And same way with 4A, you look at it like you just mentioned, Wagner, Tuttle, Cushing here the last few years. Obviously, Poto being in our district. Hilldale's very good. Ada Medill being in there as well. So top to bottom, this district is going to be very tough. So it's going to be another challenge as a coach. In Class A, you always have one or two really good teams in your district, and the other ones were kind of battling. But here, from top to bottom, week in and week out, you're going to have to be prepared to go play.
You mentioned the team camp at Chakota next week, the changes with going to more of a run first offense, the changes on defense with changing the scheme up a little bit. What's something you want to see from your team, from your guys next week, specifically at the team camp? Because it's one of those things where it's fantastic reps, but at the same time, we talked with UConn's new head coach, Brent Barnes, last week. He chose to not go to a team camp because he didn't feel like, necessarily it'd be the right thing for his team, to go up against, better competition right now and just get their heads beat in as they're installing, new terminology and things like that. What do you want to see from your guys? Because you have to find that balance between let's go compete with somebody else. Let's go, find out about ourselves. But at the same time, you don't want to beat down, a kid to where he goes into the summer thinking, man, it's going to be a long year again.
Right. I just want to go over there and just see, make sure we're alignment and assignment. That's two of the main things we preach on. Make sure we're getting lined up, playing good assignment football, and everything else I feel like will take care of itself later on, but just go over there and make sure we're blocking, tackling, we're doing the right things and getting in the right spots where we're supposed to be, and being able to get that on film and show the kids that, we are progressing in that direction. And, I think that'll give them a lot of confidence going into the summer.
What do you anticipate for yourself as a coach? Some of the bigger challenges that you're going to have. You were at Vian, you were at Gore, you left the state for a few years over in Arkansas, not too far away. But coming up to Class 4A, and you touched on it a little bit, the new challenges of the tougher teams and things like that. But just for you as a coach, being at a bigger school, being at a bigger program, seeing some of the schools that you've never seen in a lot of cases. What are some of the challenges that you find for yourself as you head into year one here?
Just like you said, just trying to figure out every team. I knew when, we were playing Tallahassee, I knew what Kelly Gravitt was going to do, week in and week out. When you're playing Pecola, what they're going to do, just playing them our whole life. So, just figuring all these teams out and these new coaches that we're going to get to coach against and seeing their kids and their schemes and just, being able to go coach against those guys. So there's a lot of great coaches in this league. I see Coach Warner down at Poto does a great job. Just being able to line up and go compete against those guys and challenge ourselves week in and week out, coaching wise as well.
And then finally, we wrap up all these interviews with the same question, maybe packaged in different ways every now and then. But this is a message to the fans, the community at Sallisaw. Like you mentioned, the history that this program has had. They're hungry. They're ready, to win and win consistently. Make the playoffs a regular thing, compete for district titles, eventually state championships as well. What's your message to the Sallisaw community as you get ready to go into year one this fall?
We're going to be well coached. We're going to be well prepared. It's going to be hopefully an exciting brand of football. And get back to what Sallisaw football was built upon. Kind of like what I mentioned earlier. You go back and look at all the runs they had with Ron Lancaster, Coach Benton. When all those guys were here, Virgil Terry. They were lining up running the football and play action off of that. So that's kind of been my recipe my whole career as well. I feel like we get back to that, get back to the foundation and the base of Sallisaw football. And get it carried over and like I said, start getting some wins under our belt.
Well, you're in the right class. As a guy who loves to run the football, you're in the right class in Class 4A because you mentioned those teams: Wagner, the Potos, the Tuttles, the Clintons. The one consistent, they run the football. So, looking forward to seeing what you do, Coach, with the Sallisaw Black Diamonds. Looking forward to year one at the helm. Congratulations on another homecoming of sorts. And thanks so much for spending some time with me today.
Hey, Mike, I appreciate you having me on, brother. Thank you for all you do for high school football. As a coach, we appreciate everything you do and, getting our kids out there and coaches and everything else. It means a lot to us.
As always, man, I appreciate it. I appreciate the time. He's Brandon Tyler, the new head coach at Sallisaw. I'm Michael Knight, the director of Prep Redzone Oklahoma. This has been another edition of the Coaches Corner. Be sure to check back every single Wednesday for a new edition of the Prep Redzone Coaches Corner right here on our YouTube channel. And be sure to follow us on Twitter to find out the spring ball is in the air. Team camp's opening up. We're going to be out and about at a lot of different places over the next couple of weeks. So be sure to follow us on Twitter at Prep Redzone OK to see where we're at and when. For Coach Tyler, I'm Michael Knight. This has been another edition of the Prep Redzone Coaches Corner.